Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today, July 6th, we have a vocabulary test for you. 10 sentences, words are missing, and you have to choose the correct answer. Let's begin, of course, with number 1. Thanks to the blank weather conditions this year, the grapes are ripening nicely and will soon be ready to harvest. Should we choose A, favorable, B, rational, C, deliberate, or D, consequent? Well, of course, the best answer is A, favorable. If something is favorable, it's good. It helps. If you have good weather conditions, then the grapes can ripen nicely. They can grow and reach their maturity nicely. And if there are no further problems, we can get ready to harvest the grapes and enjoy the harvest.
好，我们看第一句哈，他说 thanks to 就是多亏了，多亏了什么东西呢 ？the 什么样的 weather conditions 就是天气的状况哈 ，weather conditions， 注意那个 condition 是有 s 的。好，那其实各位看到这个thanks to 什么样的 weather conditions， 然后再往后看啊，这个是this year 今年的哈，然后 the grapes 是葡萄啊，那 are ripening nicely 就是正在长得很好，今年的葡萄长得很好。字面上是熟的这个成熟的很好了，但是这个中文不会这样讲，所以就长得很好。然后呢 will soon be ready to harvest 很快就可以采收了啊，这个 be ready to harvest 就是可以采收了。所以在这样的情况之下，其实我们英文里面你如果阅读量够的话，你可能就马上感觉出来啊，这个葡萄长得很好，那天气一定是好的嘛。而且通常讲天气的这个状况呢，英文有很常见的一个 collocation 啊，一个 chunk 就是 the favorable weather conditions 啊，就是 favorable 是有利的、有助益的。好，我们也可以说 a favorable climate 也可以这样用啊。好，所以正确答案是 favorable。那 B 这个选项 rational 是基于理性的啊，不对。C deliberate 这个字呢，它可以表示有意的、蓄意的啊。例如你可以讲 a deliberate lie 啊，那就是蓄意说谎啊，或者你可以说this is a deliberate decision 就是经过慎重考虑之后的决定啊。那但是这个也不是我们的答案。那第4个选项呢 consequent 就是随之而发生的，后面常常接一个名词啊 the consequent damage to the environment 就是随之造成的对于环境的损害。所以这一题我们选 A favorable。
Number 2. Richard hates it when people point out his problems. Every time someone offers him mild criticism, he becomes blank and tries to prove them wrong. So if you point out somebody's problems, you're showing them what their problems are. You're like, you always say the wrong thing right in front of the boss. Maybe you should stop doing that. So every time someone offers him mild criticism, so criticism is when, you say that someone's doing something wrong, or you say, hey,
you could improve your behavior by not or doing something.
Exactly. And even if it's mild, even if it is like, hey, have you ever thought about maybe improving your behavior a little bit? That was not that mild. That was sarcastic mild. Sorry, I couldn't think of actually mild criticism. Anyways, but if it was mild, it's just like, hey, maybe you should think about XYZ. If he even hears that kind of criticism, he becomes something. And he tries to prove them wrong. He tries to show them that they were wrong for criticizing them. So definitely we're talking about a negative word here, which means that A, compassionate, and D, agreeable are not choices here. But then we have indifferent and defensive. Indifferent means you kind of don't care. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. Indifference is like, I don't care about you, so just go away. So that's not our choice either. So then we're left with defensive. And when you're defensive, you defend yourself. He tries to prove them wrong. He's like, no, you're wrong because blah, 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 blah. And that is defensive. He's like, I am fine and you are wrong. So yeah, he does have trouble with taking criticism.
OK, 好，我们看到这个题目，他说 Richard hates it when 好。这个也是很常用的啊。某人 hates it when 就是每次 when 这个事情所描述的事情发生的时候，他就觉得很讨厌，他很不喜欢。所以 Richard 很不喜欢怎么样 ？People point out his problems， 别人指出他的问题，他很不喜欢。那每一次呢 ，every time someone offers him mild criticism。mild 都是很温和的，好，所以 offers him mild criticism 就是对他有一点点的批评呢，很温和的批评呢，就算很温和，他还是 becomes 怎么样？然后呢 ，tries to prove them wrong， 他会试着要证明你们都错了啊，你们说我不对，但其实我没有不对。那这个地方选项我们看到 A compassionate 是充满同情的、怜悯的，好，那这个显然不对。那 B indifferent 是漠不关心的哈，这个很冷漠的哈，别人指出他的温和，别人指出他的问题，他很温，他就漠不关心，但是跟后面连不起来，因为他后面还有说 tries to prove them wrong， 所以 B 这个选项不好。那 C defensive 就是有戒心的、有防卫心的，他就变得很有防卫心，然后呢想办法证明对方讲的是错的，所以这个正确答案 defensive。那 D agreeable 是宜人的哈，天气很宜人哈，或者可以接受的。好 agreeable， 所以或者你可以讲这个人看让人觉得很舒服哈 ，a very agreeable young man， 就是这个人让人家觉得很舒服。
Number 3, due to the potential risks and sensitive nature of their identity, the whistleblower will only speak to the press on condition that they remain blank. Our choices are A, experimental, B, anonymous, C, controversial, or D, transparent. The whistleblower is someone who is going to expose someone who has done something wrong or a dangerous condition or situation, and they work within a company or a department, and so they really know what's going on, and if they do tell the press or the public, that department or the management of a company could get into serious trouble. So he has to be careful here. That's why these are, it's a sensitive nature. If he's going to speak to the press refers to the media, TV and radio, newspaper, he becomes blank and tries to prove, speak to the press on condition that they remain. So he will talk, but he has to protect himself. So the media should remain experimental, forget it. Anonymous, this means literally without a name. I can tell you information, but you may not use my name. You may not use my name. It's not they that remain controversial, not the press, but the management or those in charge who cause the problem. It would be a controversy, the noun. The situation would be controversial for them, not for the whistleblower. And transparent doesn't fit here at all. So if you're going to give information which could hurt you, you want to protect yourself, and you will tell your story, but you want to remain anonymous. You don't want to be named.
OK， 好，那我们看到说 due to 是因为，那 potential risks 就是潜在的风险，还有 sensitive nature of their identity 是身份啊，那所以他们身份呢很敏感啊，他们身份有个特色就是 sensitive nature 很敏感，因为身份敏感，也为了要避免这个潜在风险呢，是 the whistleblower 就是告发者、吹哨者，中文也会这样讲啊 ，will only speak to the press on condition that they remain。事实上，各位啊，从这个 will only speak to the press on condition that they remain， 其实你读到差不多是 the press on， 差不多你就知道后面应该是什么答案了，因为英文这几个字常常就是在一起出现。某人 will only speak to 谁 on condition that they remain 怎么样啊？那答案就 remain anonymous， 就是这个不透露姓名的意思。好 ，anonymous 这个字还有另外一个很常见的用法，就是某人 wishes to remain anonymous 啊，就是他不愿透露姓名。中文讲不愿透露姓名，英文就是 someone wishes to remain anonymous 啊，所以这是正确答案。那 A 这个选项 experimental 是实验性的，不对啊。C controversial 是有争议性的，也不对。那 D transparent 是透明的，这些答案都不对，我们选 anonymous。
Number 4. The unfortunate skydiver fell to his death when his blank failed to fully open after he jumped from the plane. We just already heard unfortunate and skydiver, so we know that we're looking for something about falling from a plane. And we have A, mattress, which is for beds. We have B, windshield, which is for cars. We have C, briefcase, which is for lawyers, FBI agents, CIA agents, and other weird people, because nobody carries briefcases anymore. And D, parachute, which is obviously for airplanes, so choose D. The unfortunate skydiver fell to his death when his parachute failed to fully open after he jumped from the plane.
好 ，the unfortunate 不幸的这一位跳伞者呢，这个跳伞玩家，那他怎么样呢？他 fell to his death， 他摔死了。When his 什么东西 failed to fully open， 没有完全张开。After he jumped from the plane， 他从飞机跳下来之后，他的什么东西没有完全张开呢？降落伞，对不对？好，所以我们选到正确答案是第4个 parachute， 就是降落伞。那其他的选项 mattress 是床垫，好 B windshield 是挡风玻璃，他自己没有挡风玻璃的。好，那 C briefcase 是公事包，都不对，我们要选 parachute。
Number 5. The civilians who were in the bank when the police arrived on the scene were listed as blank in the investigation of the bank robbery. Choices A. Witnesses, B. Relatives, C. Guardians, or D. Counselors. Well, the civilians, here it just means the people who were in the bank.
It means not military, not police, not government employees,
right.
Regular people.
Yeah, just you and me when we're in the store buying things. We are customers. We are civilians. We don't have any special role to play. Now, there was a bank robbery, so when the police got to the bank, even assuming the robbers are gone, they want to question people. What happened? Where were you? Is anyone hurt? And so on. So they arrived on the scene. The civilians were listed as blank. In an investigation means that this case is going to go to court, and they need people to tell the police what happened, to report what happened. Clearly, A is your best answer right away. A witness is a person who sees something, usually a bad situation, an accident, a robbery, an illness. If someone is on the beach and playing and suddenly they collapse, people around that person could be witnesses to the medical examiner. Relatives, you wouldn't be listed as a relative in a bank robbery. Yeah, that was my dad and my uncle robbing the bank. Guardians, the police are supposed to be the guardians or the what do you call them? The guards in the bank at the time of the robbery. But they're not called guardians. They're called guards. Counselors are people who give you information, give you advice, and so on. Clearly, again, the answer is A. The civilians who were in the bank when the police arrived on the scene were listed as witnesses in the investigation of the bank robbery.
好 ，the civilians 就是平民百姓，好，一般的市民，好，那这些 who were in the bank 在当时在这个银行里面的这些平民百姓啊，什么时候呢？当时是指说 when the police arrived on the scene， 哈，当警方到达现场时候，在场的那些平民百姓呢 were listed as 就是被列为什么呢？他们当然是这个犯罪事项的一个目击者，所以正确答案是 A witnesses。好，那后面我们怎么知道是犯罪事项呢？因为后面讲了，他说是 in the investigation of the bank robbery， 所以有一个 bank robbery， 然后他们要调查。所以在调查这个银行抢案的时候，他们被列为目击者，所以正确答案是 witnesses。好，那这个 B relatives 是亲戚啊，或者是家属，不对。C guardians 是监护人或者是守护者，也不对。D counselors 是顾问，都不对。
Number 6. Kathy blank dropped her phone in the toilet the other day, but luckily it wasn't damaged because it is waterproof. Our main point here is that Kathy dropped her phone in the toilet. You'd never do that on purpose. I don't know.
I hope.
I can imagine some movie situations where you would do it on purpose, but nobody in real life would do this on purpose. So it is A, not logical. It is B, not causal. Something didn't happen because and cause her to do that. It is probably C, accidental. And D, if you do something earnestly, you mean to do it. So she definitely did it accidentally. So our answer is C. Kathy accidentally dropped her phone in the toilet the other day, but luckily it wasn't damaged because It is waterproof. It is definitely disgusting now, though, and I would have a hard time using it after.
Yeah. 好，所以 Kathy 怎么样？好，那 dropped her phone 已经完整的一个动词片语了，把她的手机掉到 in the toilet 掉到马桶里面去了。the other day 但是呢 luckily 很幸运的是 it wasn't damaged 并没有损坏because it is waterproof 因为它是这个防水的，所以正确答案是 accidentally。那 logically 是合乎逻辑的它不会合乎逻辑的把电话掉下去。那 causally 是有前因后果的，那也不会这样子把电话丢下去。那 the earnestly 是认真的真诚的，也不会很认真的把电话丢下去都不对，所以我们要选 accidentally 意外。
Number 7. I wish I had worn a layer under my sweater. It's now blank my skin and making me want to scratch all over. Maybe you've had this experience before. A wool sweater or sometimes even synthetic materials that are right up against your skin will rub on your skin and you will feel uncomfortable. So is this sensation, is this feeling A, tickling, B, spraining, C, pinching, or D, bruising? Well, it certainly wouldn't be B or D. That's pretty serious. If you sprain an ankle or your elbow, you'll have to see a doctor. It'll be very painful, but that has nothing to do with wearing a sweater. Bruising is when a great pressure, like if someone hits you very hard, and the next day your skin will turn blue and so on. That's bruising, and a sweater can't do that either. A, tickling looks good. Tickling is usually making someone laugh, but it can also be irritating. A lot of people don't like to be tickled, for example. And pinching is to press or squeeze the skin, and that can hurt a lot. Again, that's overkill for a sweater. A is our best choice. I wish I had worn a layer under my sweater. It's now tickling my skin and making me want to scratch all over.
好，所以 I wish I had worn 就是我真是但愿我有穿，但是没有穿但愿我有穿。A layer 就是一层的衣物under my sweater 在我毛衣底下但愿我有穿一层衣物。因为呢现在这个毛衣怎么样 It's now tickling my skin 那就是瘙痒让我的皮肤很痒，所以正确答案是 tickling。好，那 making me want to scratch all over 会让我想要到处抓，因为很痒。好，所以正确答案是 tickling。那 B spraining 就是扭伤所以这个毛衣不会扭伤我的皮肤那 C pinching 是捏或者夹的会痛那毛衣也不会夹到你的皮肤嘛，所以也不对。Bruising 这个是使它有淤伤也不会，毛衣不会让你的皮肤有淤伤，所以都不对，我们选 tickling。
Number 8. Don't eat too much before going on the roller coaster ride, or you could end up blank everything you ate. So if you eat anything before going on a roller coaster ride is one of those rides you go up and down train tracks in the air that take you spinning and dropping. And it makes you nauseous. And you could end up spewing. You could end up throwing up. You could end up vomiting.
所以正确答案是 vomiting。 好，那刚刚这个Angela 老师用了一个 nauseous， 就是会让你觉得想要呕吐的那这个字的拼法是 nauseous nauseous。 好，那另外刚刚 Angela 老师用到 spewing 还有 throwing up， 那都是吐的意思那这个 spewing 是 spewing。 好，那 throw up 就是这个 throw 然后再加 up。 好， throwing up throw up 都是吐的意思。好，所以这个地方我们看到他说这个 don't eat too much 不要吃太多东西不要吃太多东西 before going on the roller coaster ride 就是搭云霄飞车然后呢所以搭云霄飞车之前不要吃太多东西or 要不然的话 you could 你有可能会 end up 结果会怎么样呢？所以答案就是D vomiting 它也是呕吐的意思这是比较正式的字，所以你会把什么东西都吐出来呢 everything you ate 你吃的东西你都会把它吐出来，所以正确答案是 vomiting。 那我们看其他选项 A uttering 是说话说出来英文常常讲说 without uttering a word 就是一语不发不发一语 without uttering a word。 那 B overtaking 是这个追过或者超越overtaking然后呢 C revolving 是这个旋转或者转动所以都不对。
Number 9. Each passenger on the express train is required to be seated at the seat that blank to the number on their ticket. Is it A, corresponds, B, contributes, C, subscribes, or D, submits? 2 is not very helpful here, the preposition to, because all of these verbs can add to, so we have to look just at the meaning. All right, you're a passenger on a train, and of course you need a ticket, and you should sit where the ticket indicates that you should sit. And the way to say that is that the information on the ticket corresponds to the seat that you are supposed to be sitting in. A is clearly the answer here. You don't contribute to the number or subscribe to the number. We subscribe to pay TV or magazines and so on. Submit to is to follow the orders of. Hardly that strong. So choose A. Each passenger on the express train is required to be seated at the seat that corresponds to the number on their ticket.
好，每一位乘客 on the express train 在这个特快车上的每一位乘客 is required to 都必须要 be seated at the seat that 怎么样啊？大家要坐的位置应该是 the seat that 如何好 to the number on their ticket 在他们车票上的这个号码。好，所以应该是要符合的意思，你坐的位置应该是要符合你车票上面的号码。好，那符合与什么相符是我们答案 A corresponds， 所以这是正确答案。好，那 B contribute 啊 contribute 后面也会加 to， 但它的意思是对什么什么有贡献，所以这个不是不是我们要的答案。C subscribe 也可以加 to， 但是它是订阅的意思，所以也不合这个句子。那 submit to 也可以用加 to， 但 submit to 是这个屈服于什么的意思，所以也不对，所以我们要选的是 corresponds。
And number 10, Esther is an independent and critical thinker who refuses to follow the blank and insists on having her own perspectives. If you're an independent person and a critical thinker, it means you think your own thoughts and you think critically about others' thoughts. You don't take things at face value. So she refuses to follow what? She refuses to follow everybody else. So let's look at our four words here. The one that jumps out is B, mainstream. Even if I don't know what mainstream means or what stream means, main sounds like, 主要的, everybody else. So that's the one I would choose. Hurricane is a storm. Timetable is a schedule. And pavement is the thing you walk on next to the street. So you definitely want B, mainstream.
OK， 好，我们看到呢，这个地方讲到这个 Esther， 她是个 independent and critical thinker。independent 就独立的，然后呢 critical 是有批判性的，所以她是个独立的思考者，也是个有批判性的思考者。好，所以刚刚 Angel 老师讲说，她she thinks her own thoughts。好，那she doesn't take everything at face value。哈 ，if you don't take things at face value， 就是你不会看表面就相信她了。好，你会去思考。好，所以呢，他怎么样呢 ？Who refuses？ 他拒绝to follow， 拒绝听从，拒绝跟随的什么东西啊？那是跟随什么他拒绝跟随什么东西呢？那我们再看后面，他说他 insists on， 他坚持要 having her own perspectives， 他坚持要有自己的观点，所以他显然是不会这个附着潮流，不会说随波逐流的。好，所以我们看答案呢 ，A hurricane 是飓风，它不会跟着飓风跑，那很奇怪。好 ，B mainstream 就是主流，它不会 follow the mainstream 那这个是正确答案，它不会不会去跟从主流的价值它有它自己的 perspectives。好 ，C timetable 是个时刻表 ，D pavement 是人行道，都不对，我们要选 mainstream。
Okay, there you have it. 10 sentences, 10 problems solved.
Yay!
Do join us the next time. Hey, tomorrow we'll be back. Until then, bye-bye.